Good afternoon, Year 6, and welcome to your session today. And we're going to keep the session a bit different. As you can see, we've got some shout outs, okay? So this is shout outs from your lesson last week. So drum roll, miss. Right, so the very first set of shout outs are going to Emily and Brooke and Amanda. Amanda's from Castilian, actually. So Amanda from Castilian, Brooke from Burnhurst, and Emily from Burstwood. So these are the people that actually completed the checkout last week's session, and did well in the checkout as well. So this is the gold award. So well done to the three of them. And the next one is for a platinum award, and that goes out to Alfie from Mayor Place, Callie from Mayor Place, and Amanda from Castilian. I knew it was not Castilian somewhere. And Amanda. So Amanda, you get 2 awards actually, because I think you tried it twice. So in your first attempt, you got a gold star for it. And then your second attempt, you got a platinum star, so well done. And then for the diamond awards, we've got something slightly different. So you are going to have to wait, and then at the end, see who got the diamond award. Okay, so today's oh, 1 second, I forgot the Slido. So let me go and present with Slido. Excellent, I forgot the Slido poll. So today's Slido poll, I know you're all thinking, what's the code? Where's the code for today? Today's Slido is hash Z970, or just scan over the QR code. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the chat. So don't forget, when you put your name into the chat, have your first name and then what primary school you're from. That's all we need. Okay, there we go. I can see some hi coming through. So anonymous, change that name, anonymous, and put in a name so we know exactly who you are and what primary school you're coming from. Okay, so excellent. So I'm now going to be passing over to Miss, and Miss is going to be doing your 3rd art lesson, and it's the last one. Miss, you must be so sad it being your last one.
It's sad. It's been short but sweet, definitely. So, but hopefully we'll go out on a bang. That's what I'm hoping for. So today is a little bit more practical. I know we were looking at kind of collage materials, but we are going to be using our paintbrushes and our ink pens today. So hopefully you have managed to get yourself your equipment ready. If you haven't got the correct equipment, obviously there are alternative ways of doing this. So help yourself, get yourself like a piece of paper, or maybe like, even if you've got paper, maybe something like an envelope to draw on the back of, or basically anything you can get to hand. You could have a go at doing it digitally. There are lots of different varieties of creating artwork, not just kind of paper and pen, but we are focusing on the paper and pen today in today's lesson. Additionally, you need some water. Okay, so you'll need a water pot. So you don't need paints or anything like that, but maybe, if you haven't got a water pot, get an old mug or old cup or something like that, something you can put water in and fill it halfway, because we're going to be using that as well. I've got my lovely beautiful artist water pot. You can see it's all lovely and paint stained, but you guys, whatever you've got to hand. I think I've got an old milk bottle that I use at home for my water pot. So old jam jar, something like that you can use for water. Okay, so while I'm talking at the beginning feel free to go and get yourself ready. Make sure you've got your pens. Ink pens are best. So the one that we provided is a fine liner kind of ink pen. Felt tip pens may work, not permanents, not Sharpies. Okay, we don't want things like Sharpies because they're permanent markers. It won't work as well, the technique. But things like that, if you want to use additional things, biros can work, but definitely these black fine liners are the best thing for what we're going to do today. So today's exploration is creating textures in artwork. We're going to be looking specifically at texture in artwork. I'm going to talk to you a bit about what texture is and explore that, and then show you how we can apply that to artwork. Okay, Miss, can you show the next slide? Fantastic. So like last week, we're going to start off with a do now task. Okay, so the do now task this week is literally in 3 minutes, and I'm going to be timing you on my computer screen. Okay, in 3 minutes, I want you to have a go at drawing as many textures as you can. And to help you, I've got some examples on there. Okay, and this is a kind of, I've used this worksheet actually for a very long time, probably about 14 years to be fair. It's a really, really good worksheet for different types of textures and examples. So have a look at these ones to help you if you're stuck. Okay, but we're going to look at textures, the way you feel things, okay, and how you can recreate that in pencil in the next 3 minutes. Okay, starting from now. Go. I'm going to have a go at 2.
I'll do the timing.
I'm just looking at my paper. I've got some already. I'm dropping all my paper today. Look, there's some already. How many have I done so far? 4. I'm on 4. Don't know if you can hear my pen working away there. My smooth texture there. I'm do a bumpy one next, I think.
Right, we've got 2 minutes on the clock.
Quickly. I've managed to get 6. I wonder how many you guys have got. I wonder if you've been able to get more than 6. Oh, I'm on 9.
1 minute remaining.
Ooh. Okay, I've done 10 there. I'm going to go through and talk to you about this in a bit more detail in a minute. Oh, 3, 2, 1. Thank you, Miss Shallow. So hopefully you've been able to, I've got 10, as I was showing you, I've got 10 textures. I stopped a little bit earlier, so maybe you've got even more than that. For those of you who weren't quite sure what texture was or weren't quite sure how to start, hopefully it's looking at that sheet to help you as really kind of like help you kind of just explore and experiment with trying to create textures just by using a pen. So texture is basically how something feels. It's how if something feels soft or fluffy or spiky or hard, you know, it's how something feels in your hand. And as artists, a really big challenge is to kind of try to recreate that on paper. So just how we've just been doing it, you know, trying to create this kind of illusion of texture in like this, you know, different type of like, you know, paper, or whether it's a sculpture or, you know, in a piece of artwork, and trying to recreate kind of how something feels. And I think it can be really challenging as an artist to create these different types of textures. So hopefully you've been, you know, that quick do now task just enabled you to kind of really kind of like get out of your comfort zone straight away and explore, you know, different types of textures which we may be using in a little while. Okay, Miss, can you change the slide for me, please? So some different examples of textures are here on the screen. Okay, and these are some you might have had a go at doing yourself. So bubbly, wrinkly, soft, rough, spiky, prickly, fluffy, cracked, furry, spotty, spongy. Okay, there's lots of different types there as some examples for you that you may have had an attempt at trying to recreate yourself on paper. Next slide for me, please, Miss. Thank you. So what different techniques do artists use to create artwork? That's the same kind of like overarching question that we were looking at last week. We're looking at how artists create artwork and different techniques they use. And today's exploration question is, how can you use drawing materials to show different textures? So this week is very much about drawing materials like a pen, pencil, like I said earlier, different types of drawing, biro, anything you can use to draw with to show texture. That's what we're looking at today, and we're trying to explore the material to create different textures, but within the idea of looking at other artists too. Next slide, please, Miss.
Right, Miss, just so you know, George from May Plays actually got 13 textures.
That's fantastic. That's really, really good. Well done. That's amazing. Well done. That is more than I did, so I'm impressed. I'm impressed straight away. On the screen, I've got a picture by an artist called Andy Warhol. You may have heard of him before. He's quite a famous artist, and you may have heard of him in your primary schools, and may have seen that he did something called a Campbell soup tin, and he did a print of a Campbell soup tin, really, really famous, brightly coloured, multicolored, different types of Campbell soup tins. He also did a picture of an famous movie star of the 1950s and 60s called Marilyn Monroe. You may have seen those pictures already. Now, this is a lesser known artwork that he created, and this is called 5 Views of an Onion. Now, you may look at this picture and kind of like think, oh, it's really, really quick drawing, it's very simple, it's you know, not very artistic. But actually what Andy Warhol was trying to explore with this onion was looking at the onion from different perspectives, but literally without trying to take his pen off the paper. So with every single one of these views, he would not take his pen or pencil off the paper. He literally had it all like on the paper at one time, just using lines to create different types of textures on this onion. Miss, can you change to the next slide, please? Sorry, thank you. Similarly, Roy Lichtenstein was another pop artist of the same time, similar time to Andy Warhol, and he would use lines and mark making to create texture. So he would use kind of lots of different types of lines in his pictures to show the difference between kind of like smooth textures or reflective textures like the glass to kind of maybe more rougher textures in the background. And this is kind of very kind of similar to a lot of the Roy Lichtenstein paintings of the time, which were kind of very kind of bold, thick lines and mark making, but using texture as well to create kind of 3D effects. Thank you, Miss. So what we're going to be doing is, bearing in mind, thinking about those two artists, we're going to be having a go at drawing a picture today using either a fruit or a vegetable, and we're going to try and use that fruit and vegetable and create the textures of that fruit and vegetable. So if you have fruit and vegetable at home, you might want to actually get one and have one in front of you to draw from. Okay, you don't have to, because I'm going to put some pictures on the screen to help us all right, as well. But if you had one at home, you wanted to draw straight from like something, you know, an observational drawing, you are more than welcome to go and help yourself to something you may have. Like, for example, the good ones are the ones that have got texture already. So things like oranges, lemons, peppers, things that have textures already, like that are really kind of like different. For example, like the pepper is smooth on the outside and then kind of like very kind of textured on the inside. So that works really nicely. The oranges and lemons have lots of different segments, so you can kind of like really think about the different types of textures in those pieces of fruit. The learning question, how can you use drawing materials to show these different textures? And that's what we're going to be looking at. So we're going to be looking at either using a piece of fruit or a vegetable and how we can use the drawing material to create texture. Those people who are mastering at this technique, oh, sorry, Miss, can you just move back? Sorry. Those people who are mastering at the technique, okay, will be creating accurate drawings. That means it's going to look exactly like that piece of fruit or that vegetable, and adding a large variety of different textures. So, you know, if you have got 13 textures already on a piece of paper, you might be going back to those textures and trying to incorporate them into your drawing. Securing is neatly presenting, make sure it's really nice and neat. Okay, it's quite hard to be neat sometimes in artwork, and that securing level is really trying to push you to try and make sure that the quality of your work is, you know, really strong. So you're drawing very, very neatly and you're presenting it really, really well. For example, if you've got a big piece of paper, like, you know, like for example, this piece of paper, and you know you draw fairly small, you might want to do a border around your work so it kind of fits within an actual frame, okay? And that kind of enables your work to seem more neat and more tidy, you know, depending on how you draw your artwork. So think about it carefully before you have a go at doing it. Adding a range of different textures, that means you've used different types of textures, possibly not as many as mastering, okay, but you have used different types of textures. And developing is choosing drawing a basic drawing, but then adding some examples of textures so you can really see some different textures there. Keywords today, obviously texture, I've said it lots of times already. Pen, because we're looking at pens, paintbrush, and water, because that's what we're going to be using today to add the textures to our fruit or vegetable. Miss, can you just turn on to the next slide for me? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a demonstration of how we're going to use our materials and how we're going to manipulate our materials. You can decide if you want to go with pencil first, you can do if you're a little bit underconfident, but like with that, the cutting activity I did with you last week, if you want to go straight ahead and you go straight in with pen, then I'm all for it, because this is about experimenting with those materials. I'm trying to get to a position so I can actually have the paper. There we are, that's better. So I can show you the paper at the same time, because I'm going to do a demonstration now, literally by using my pen. And we're going to try and do it without taking our pen off the paper. So a bit like Andy Warhol in that first image I showed you, we're going to go and have a go, try and doing it without taking our pen off the paper. So Miss, if you could just put the PowerPoint back on so we can have a look at the fruit and vegetables. First thing, oh, that's perfect. First thing you might want to have a think about doing is which kind of fruit and vegetable. Now I've picked 4 different types there, and the reason I picked those 4 was because they, like I said, they have different textures in them already, so they're kind of quite useful in terms of creating texture. So say I'm going to go for, I don't know, I'm going to go for the lemon. Okay, so I'm going to, first things first, I'm going to have a go at drawing my lemon. Now, bearing in mind, I'm doing this upright. Yours are going to be fantastic, I'm sure, because you're going to be doing it kind of like on a table, you know, and not doing it kind of upright. But I'm going to have a go at drawing my lemon, first of all, without taking my pen off the paper. And it's actually quite tricky to do so. And you might find that you have to repeat your lines. I'm going to start with kind of almost like an ellipse, but not quite. So kind of like a, I don't know, it's kind of almost like an ellipse. I'm going to go back on myself without taking my pen off the paper. So I'm getting the thickness of that kind of texture bit of the lemon. I'm actually going to go now inside to get that kind of similar effect inside. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the segments. I'm going to draw that bit in the middle, and I'm going to add my segments again without taking my pen off the paper. And you can see where I've just gone a little bit kind of wide with my lines. I've done that on purpose to kind of show you that I'm going back and forth. You might want to try and go in on your lines so they're not so big a gap. Then what I'm going to do is I'm now going to draw my back bit of my lemon. Okay, and you can see on that picture there is a back bit to that lemon. Now I'm going to go back around here, and I'm going to add, now this is quite hard because I'm literally watching myself draw as to try and get the shape. Okay, I'm going to draw around this bit, and I'm going to meet it down the bottom here so I get to there. Okay, And finally, now I'm going to put a background. I know Andy Warhol didn't do it, but I really like to have a horizon line on my picture because it makes it feel like we're sitting on a table. So again, without taking my pen off the paper, I'm going in and I'm doing a horizon line. So I've got it looking like it's sitting on a table. Now I've taken my pen off the paper because what I'm going to do now is start adding different textures. So I'm going to start off, and feel free to get started, by the way. Okay, don't let me hold you back. Okay, so feel free to get started now while I'm talking. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to add different textures. I'm going to go into my segments, and in each segment, I'm going to add a different texture. So obviously I have my 10 textures, or possibly less, possibly more, that I was drawing earlier. I'm going to look at those now, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to add different texture to each one of these segments. The segments on the actual lemon itself are quite lots of different types of lines. They're kind of quite bumpy in texture. So I'm going to go for the bumpier ones, and I'm going to start off by doing kind of possibly these kind of lines. And this time I am going to be able to take my pen off the page. So I'm going to start doing that more and more. But I'm going to just get that nice bumpy texture following that one segment until it's completely filled. I'm then going to go back into this one. And for this one, I might decide that I'm going to do something slightly different. So it feels like the lemon is really kind of segmented. You can really see the difference in the type of segment parts of the lemon. This one here might be circular maybe. And it's for you to decide what types of textures you're going to add to your vegetable. If you haven't done a lemon, obviously you're going to do either the inside of the cucumber or the inside of the pepper. And again, split it up so there's different types of textures going. This bit here, for the bumpy bit of my lemon, I might do lots of little circles. I'm going to do some more up here so you can see it a bit easier. Okay, and I'm not finishing mine yet, but I will go back and finish mine in a minute. And then finally, the background, you might want to think about the textured background. Now, I might decide I'm going to include, I don't know, some lines going up. Like, so I've got like a difference because I've got a circular kind of round shape going on in the foreground. I might decide I'm going to use lots of vertical lines in my background. Once you're happy with the beginning of your use of texture, you then might want to experiment with different types of mark making. That's why we've got the paintbrush and the water. So you've got your paintbrush and you've got your water, and you want to make sure your paintbrush is nice and wet. It's been fully submerged because they're brand new paintbrushes as well. So that, like, they weren't quite soft straight away. So I had to put it in the water quite a while to kind of make it nice and soft. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my paintbrush to start blending my pen. So without use of paint, we're going to start just using the water and the pen to kind of get different types of tones with the texture. So it starts blending those textures. And you might decide that you want to paint all of it, or you might with your ink, or you might decide that you're only going to do bits of it. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, so it's really kind of, it starts to kind of almost, it's like smudging the ink. But it allows you to get different types of effects with your paintbrush. And it's a really nice kind of like method to create without having to, you know, buy lots and lots of paints, without kind of like having lots and lots of mess, but you're actually still doing practical work. So I'm going to give you now 5 more minutes to concentrate on starting to develop your lemon or pepper or your cucumber, orange, or indeed if you've got any fruit or vegetables at home that you want to have a go at doing instead. And like last week, I really would like you to send these to the school as well. And, you know, so I can have a look at them and see some examples, and feel free to spend more time on them afterwards or do a different one afterwards, you know, and I'd love to see like a whole range of different types, which would be amazing. So I'm going to give you, like I said, about 5-ish minutes now to kind of go over it, really concentrate. I'm going to work on my one, and you know, we can work on completing these together for the next 5 minutes, and then we're going to go back in and have a look at some different activity.
Miss,
evaluate. Yes,
we have a question. Cameron has asked, are they allowed to use colours? Can they use?
You can use colours, and if you've got coloured like felt tip pens, it can work. Just be careful if you're putting water on the paper first and then putting the felt tip pens, it can ruin the pen. So just be careful. So just make sure, I would put the pen on first and then add the water. And it does work with certain felt tip pens, but like I said earlier, Sharpies, because they're permanent markers, it doesn't really work as well because the when you try and blend it with the water, it doesn't kind of smudge as nicely. In fact, like the cheaper felt tip pens, the better really, because it smudges more with cheaper pens. But yes, if you've got different materials and equipment at home, fantastic. So I'm doing the outside bit of mine, and I'm doing it like a cross hatching, which is giving like a rough texture to my part here. And I'm going to blend that with my brush. Might add some pen down here to like make it look like it's like sitting on something that's causing it to create a bit of shadow. Because as well with the water, you can blend the shadows quite nicely. It's very hard to draw upright. I'm really I keep looking at the screen to see what it looks like, so I'm not quite sure. In school, when we do demonstrations, we do sometimes do them on the board, but more often than not, we do them sitting at the table with people like around us, watching us. Obviously, with COVID, we've had to like change that slightly this year and done more at the board, but generally it's nicer if we're sitting at the table, you know, like at the proper angle to create our own artwork. So I've done quite a lot of tonal shadow there. So I'm now going to start blending that more with my paintbrush. I'm going to give you 2 more minutes by the time on my clock. But don't panic if you haven't finished. Like I said last week, it's better to spend more time later finishing it than to worry about getting it finished in time, because actually, you know, if it's rushed, you may not, you know, hit that securing or indeed the mastering because you might be rushing, so therefore it may be not as neat as you want it to be. Okay, 1 more minute. Okay. I'm going to stop you there. And that's what mine is looking like so far. So I mean, mine's not completely finished yet, as you can see, but I'm hoping you can see that the more you add the different textures to it, the more complete it feels. And it really starts to become, a strong image that, is really exciting with lots of different types of textures. And it hopefully is making, gives the illusion or the impression that there's loads of different types of texture going on in your page. So next part, what we would normally do is we would be focusing in on the kind of like evaluation stage. And even if you don't finish a piece of work in the lesson, we would quite often do the evaluation stage of what went well and even better if. And I think I mentioned this to you last week. So quite often at the end of an art lesson, we will finish it off with what went well and even better if. So what I would like you to do now, Miss, if you could just go to the next slide for me. Or is it your slide next? Oh, maybe I didn't include a slide on it. So basically what I would like to do now is I would like you to come up with a what went well and even better if based on your own drawings. So I want you to think about kind of what you've done well. For example, what went well, a good example of what went well might be something like, what went well, I've used a large variety of different textures. What went well, I've managed to make my textures really nice and neat. Even better if I made my work more accurate. Okay, what went well and an even better if. Okay, that's what I want you to have a go at focusing on now. Okay, and then Miss, perfect, Slido on there. So if you want to kind of like also message them through to Miss and we can see some what went well and even better ifs, that would be fantastic.
It's just showing up. I'm not sure why it's not loading up my Slido poll. Okay, let me go to the beginning and see if that works. Okay. Oh yeah. So there we go. So I think if we just kept this on for a bit, some comments might come through for those what went well and even better if.
When you've done one, should you do another one or try to make the first one better? It depends on you. You can make that decision for yourself, Imogen. Like, so think carefully about, do you want to have a go at doing another one? It's quite nice to have like a variety of different ones. Or is there anything else you could add to that other one to make it better? Is there different textures on there? What went well? I think it looks good, even better if it didn't smudge as much. Oh, you didn't like the smudging. I think it is quite difficult to control the smudging, but it is quite a fun activity to do. So I guess with practice, you might, find that you enjoy it more, maybe. I know how to create texture. Fantastic. You could have created different textures. Exactly. And you know what? You can now go back and have a look at, even if you're like, you want to kind of like maybe Google it online and stuff and find some different, there's loads of worksheets on different textures there, and maybe go back and add some different textures. Using color. Fantastic. Even better if you use color for it. Too much water. Oh, I think, like I said to you last week, it's about experimenting. It's fine if it goes a bit wrong. It's fine if there's a bit too much water on it. Have a go another time. You're only going to get better at it. So yeah, fantastic. Oh, there's loads coming up.
Yeah.
That's fine. If you had to start again, that's completely fine. I think it's a good thing because you're having a go. You're giving it a go and experimenting, which is fantastic. People are liking the smudging. I actually love the smudging bit. Like, that's my favorite bit, to smudge it. Like, I want to smudge it loads. Like, I'm literally smudging it now on purpose. Like, I love it. I think it's quite therapeutic with the paintbrush. Until too much water. The only way you can have too much water is if it starts to tear the paper. It will dry, so you can wait for it to dry and then have a go again. I'd love to see some with coloured pens. I would definitely like to see some coloured pen versions. That'd be fantastic. Image would have been a bit neater. It is a struggle sometimes to get your work neat, and I think that's a good thing to think about, because in that securing, quite often it is about the quality of your work and making it a bit neater. But again, with practice, that's kind of where you're going to get there with that.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Miss.
You're welcome.
Right. I'm looking forward to seeing those lovely emails with your artwork.
Definitely.
So you can send them directly to myself. So you can get your parents to email it to myself, or you can email it to Miss. Your parents will all receive an email from me today, so they can just use that link. Or they can email it to Miss, which is spriscott@bexleyheathacademy.org. And Miss will give you feedback and tell you, what you've done really, really well, and how you could, if you had time, to go back and improve it, what you might need to do. Thank you so much, Miss. Okay, so, this is the last art session, as I said at the beginning. So thank you so much for your time, Miss. I hope you've all enjoyed your last art lesson until you are here in BA and actually in Mrs. Classroom, or whoever's going to be teaching you for Arts Classroom, and drawing away with either just using a pencil or literally a paintbrush with no paint, water, and ink that you've used to draw. Very, very impressive to me, Miss. Honestly, I was wondering what the paintbrush was in there for. I kept thinking, paintbrush, no colors. But now I know. Okay, so we're going to move on. Before we go to our question and answer session for today, remember we said how for those people that did the checkout from last session, we rewarded, you can see we had like the shout out for those that got their gold, and then the shout out for those that got the platinum. So for the diamonds, we thought, well, rather than give them a shout out, we'll do one better. So you have got a certificate coming your way. Okay, so your certificates will be sent out to your parents by email. They can print it off and you can frame it, and you can take it into school and you can show all your other friends what you've got, or you can frame it and just hang it your bedroom. Do people do young people hang posters in their rooms, Miss?
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. It can be your trophy on the wall. Okay, so the very first award goes to Tate. Well done, Tate. So it's Tate from May Place Primary School. So well done, Tate. Right, let's see some love coming through for Tate. Can we all congratulate him in the group chat, please? Let me go and find mine. And the next award goes to Nikita. Well done, Nikita from Hook Lane Primary School. Well done to you. As you can see, you're not just getting that recognition, but your primary school was getting that recognition. So well done. And next award goes to Joseph from Upland. So well done, Joseph. The next, Miss, do you know how many of these I've got?
I've seen, yeah. Yeah, that's good. It's good though.
And we've got Freddie. So well done, Freddie from Bidwell Junior School. So well done, Bedinwell actually. And we have got Alicia from Upland Primary School. Is that the second Upland we've seen so far? So well done. And we have got Sophia too from Northumberland Heath Primary School. So well done to you. Lots of well done coming through the chat. And then we've got Lucas from Gravel Hill Primary School. So well done, Lucas. We've got Erin from Burnhurst Junior School. So well done. And we have got Max from Upland. That's a third Upland. So well done, Upland. Well done to you. Up to Upland. I need to. And we have got Alana from Bursted Wood. So well done, Alana. Make sure you take your certificate into school. You can show all the other year 6 and say, this is what I've got from participating at my BA checkout task. And then we've got Charlie. So Charlie from St. Thomas More. Well done, Charlie. We've got Lola from Belvedere Junior School. So well done, Lola. And then we've got Kaylee from Upland. So that's the 4th one from Upland. So well done. We've got Roberto Leon. Well done. That's from Old Bexley. So well done. Is that the last one? We've got Imogen from Belmont. Is that the second one to this? The first one, I think, is the first one. So well done, Imogen. We've George from May Place. That's definitely the second May Plays. Sorry, the two C's in May Plays. And over to our question and answer. So this is the point where if you've got any questions to ask, now is the best time for you to pop your questions into the chat. I'll go back to the QR code again. Lots and lots and lots. Okay. So well done. Now, for those of you that, if your name has not been on the shout out wall or on that certificate, don't forget, make sure you go and do today's checkout. So today's checkout is actually on our webpage. Wherever you found this link, the second link is the checkout. So make sure you do today's checkout so we can then, you know, give you a shout out next lesson. That's a question for you, Miss.
Will we get to learn digital art? We do digital art in Key Stage 4, but certainly in terms of like use of like art club and things like that, it's really up and coming. And because everyone gets a Chromebook now, it really opens up the platform, so we can definitely look at digital art opportunities.
We've got Imogen said she's really enjoyed the art session, but it's, yeah, I'm sad as well. That is the last one, actually.
Yeah, it's gone by really quickly.
It's too quick.
Definitely.
We've got a couple of surprises lined up for term 6, but the term 6 is going to depend on the primary school that you're in and how quickly your primary school responds to what we send out. So if you tell your year 6 teachers to talk to whoever gets the email, so it's normally for most primary schools is the reception. If you can let your classroom teacher talk to reception saying that there's a very important email coming from BA and they should be on the lookout for it. So as soon as they get it, they can book in. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say any more. Yeah, it is sad, Francis, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay, so do we have any questions? So school starts at 8:45. Was that Holly? Question came and disappeared. Yep, so it was Emily, sorry. Emily, did you get your pack? I know you didn't get it last time. Did he come? Any other questions? So school day starts at 8:45 and you finish at 3:10. Okay, glad to hear. Any other question? I probably mentioned this in our last session. So next term, it's not a surprise anymore because you're going to soon find out. So next term, fingers crossed, everything stays how things are going with like the numbers of cases. You are going to be coming to BA. You're going to have not 1, 2 days of transition right here at BA. So you get to have the proper live BA in person, can touch the desk, can touch the air around BA, put your hand through the air. You will be here for 2 days. And as far as we have in our schedule is going to be the 1st and the 2nd of July. Okay. So keep those days completely free or just write BA. You're going to be here all day for those 2 days for lessons. And there will be summer school as well. So we've had lots of emails have come through about summer school. So we are going to put on a week of summer school activities. The dates are yet to be confirmed. So as soon as we confirm the dates, we'll be sharing those with your parents as well. So you would then be at BA in school on site for another 5 days, but that will be in the summer. Places for those are going to be limited. So once again, let your parents know that as soon as those emails come through, they need to book your place straight away. Any other questions before we end today? Let me go and check this off. So in that sounds cool. Well done. Any other questions before we bring today to a close? I think so. It's going to be the tutors are going to, I mean, obviously there's going to be the fun element and there's going to be the academic element where you're learning as well. So it's going to be a whole bag of just amazingness. So you are going to be here finding that remarkable individual that you are, exploring in your different classes and leaving with a whole bank and wealth of information and knowledge, as well as making lots of new friends from all the different primary schools that we've got coming to BA. We've got at least 48 different primary schools. So you will get to learn about 47 different primary schools if you did get to talk to every single person in your year group that first week. Is everyone here going to be in the class? If you're talking about the transition next term, yeah, so everybody would be expected to be in school for the 2 days, Francis. So we're not going to have a Zoom because you're going to be here in person. Remember we talked about having a Zoom? Well, there's no need to have a Zoom anymore because you are going to be here in person. Because the whole point of the Zoom was that we all get to see what each other looks like and get a feel behind the name of the person, rather than just seeing Imogen typing. I can actually see that expression as images. Like, oh, we're going to have a Zoom. Yeah, so you are going to be on site, so we don't need to have a Zoom anymore.
Just asked it.
Are we going to explore the whole Zoom? Okay, let me get rid of that. Any more questions? Okay, got that. Any more questions? I think we can safely say it's been a fantastic 3 art lesson. So next week is going to be your last lesson of science. And on Monday next week, you have got your moment in maths. So make sure you log on to our website on Monday and go and click on the math lesson. There's a checkout for that as well. Do you know what I might do? I think I might celebrate the moment checkouts as well then. So next session, I'm going to go and look at the checkout for this Monday's session was humanities. It was the checkout and a moment in humanities. So I'm going to check out the checkout for that lesson, and then we can then give a big shout out next week Thursday, and then a shout out for today's checkout as well. All you've got to do is just answer it. Shouldn't be asking for permission. So if you just answer it, does it not give you like just to tick the boxes? Okay, request permission. The permission is just for editing. So you should be able to do it without having permission. So it's like a survey. So no questions come up. Okay, I'll reload that for you. So if I do that tonight. So check out humanities. Is that the same for the English? Okay, ladies and gents. Any more questions before we go? All right, year 6. It's been fun. Have a pleasant evening. So make sure you keep safe. Before I go, actually, let me see if I've got anything else at the end. I feel like I've done everything. Yeah. Okay, so have a very, very pleasant evening. Have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you all on Thursday. Have a good one. Bye for now.
Bye.